and welcome to Little Learners. In today's video I'm going to be talking about 5 things that are totally normal when your child starts school. Before we get started, don't forget to click that like button if you find this video helpful, as it really helps out the channel. Starting school comes with a lot of anxiety, not just for the children but also for the parents, and when you see your children displaying certain behaviours you can start to get a bit worried. So I want to put your mind at rest when it comes to these 5 things. Number 1, crying at the school gate or when they leave you to go to school. This is extremely normal. Separation anxiety is something we absolutely expect when children start school for the first time. If children have never been to nursery and they're not used to leaving you, then this is a completely new experience for them. But even children who have been in childcare before or who have been spending every day for the past year in nursery can still feel this separation anxiety. This is something very different for them and they are worried about what's going on. There is a lot happening here. New people, new place, new sounds, new smells, new everything. And you are their safe place. So it makes sense that they might feel a bit upset when they leave you. However, I want to reassure you that this is completely normal. And after a few days, most children grow out of this. For some children, it might take a little bit longer, and for others, they may never have a problem in the first place. But if this is happening to your child, please don't feel like something terrible is happening. It's really normal. If your child continues to get very tearful and upset when they go to school, you can discuss it with your child's teacher about how you might move forward with this, and I also have a video with some tips. I will link it in a card. Number 2, behaviour changes. Some parents start to notice when their child starts school that when they get home, they have very negative behaviour. They might be really grumpy or grouchy, they might shout, they might not seem like their usual selves. Now, of course, you don't want to be missing any red flags here, but usually this is down to the fact that children are extremely overwhelmed, tired, and just so overstimulated that when they get home, that is their release. They're holding it in all day at school, trying to learn all these new things that are happening. They're trying to keep their behaviour really good because they've got to follow all of these new rules, and then when they get home to their safe place, they just let it all go, and sometimes that can cause some poor behaviour. I have had many a parent come and ask me what they can do with their child's behaviour and how am I dealing with it at school, and I say to them, oh, they're really well behaved at school, which can be really frustrating for their parents because they're not being really well behaved at home, but it really is because home is their safe place and that is where they feel like they can really just let go. So this is very normal and should resolve itself quite quickly. Obviously, if you do have any concerns, always go and speak to your child's teacher. Number 3, wetting. So children who start reception at age 4 or 5 may still wet themselves when they are at school. Now, this shouldn't be a very frequent occurrence, but if they're not wetting outside of school and then they get to school and you discover that they might have wet themselves in the first week and you think, well, that's really unusual, it's quite common. Children have so much to focus on at school that sometimes they just forget to go to the toilet, or they don't quite get there in time, which is usually the case. They are still very young and accidents are quite normal. Sometimes when children start school, they also aren't sure about when they can and can't go to the toilet, so then they don't ask. So please don't worry if at some point your child who hasn't wet themselves in a really long time suddenly wets themselves in the first week of school, because it's pretty normal. Of course, if this does continue and it becomes a pattern, then that's something you might want to look at. But for now, just when they're starting school, please try not to worry about it. Number 4, saying they did nothing at school. So when you pick up your child at the end of the day, you are really eager to know what they've been doing at school. So you ask them, and the response is nothing. Obviously, they've been doing a lot at school during the day. But this is a very common response, and to be honest, this often continues throughout the year. Children are so mentally exhausted when they finish school at the end of the day. They don't want to go through everything that they've been doing sometimes. Sometimes they can't quite remember, sometimes they just want to forget about the school day and go and play with their friends. So don't worry if your child keeps telling you they're doing nothing at school. You You can always check with their teacher about what they have been doing so that you can talk to them about it, but it's very normal for them to say they did absolutely nothing or that they just can't remember. And number 5, saying they don't want to go back to school. Even if your child has had a really successful day on their first day of school, so they didn't get upset when they separated from you, they had a really good day, they had a lot of fun at school, sometimes that's enough for them. So the novelty has worn off and they think, what do you mean I have to go and do this again tomorrow? Obviously, if children have had quite an anxious day, then that plays into it as well, and they can get a little bit nervous about going back the next day. So if your child says to you that they don't want to go back to school, ask them why. They may just say, I just don't want to. But of course, if there is a reason, then you want to find out. More often than not, it's just more of the unknown, and I did it today and I got through it. I don't want to have to go and do it again tomorrow. But this usually only lasts a few days and they really get into the routine very quickly, especially once they've made friends and they want to see them every day. So that was 5 things that are totally normal when your child starts school, very common things. If you can think of anything else, please leave it in the comments below. Maybe you have children who have started school already or have been at school for a while and you can think of things that happened when they first started. If you have any questions about something else your child's doing, do leave them in the comments below, as I really like to have a chat in the comments. Of course, if you want to discuss any of this further, you can book a video call with me. The link is in the description box below. If you found this video helpful, do give it a like, as it really helps out the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.